Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chupacabra Tutorials channel. I'm your host, Larry, and today we're going to be talking about how to compress images so they're small enough for you to use them all over the web. And even today, in 2025, there's a lot of websites that don't want to waste more bandwidth and storage space than they have to. That limits the size of the files that you can upload. In this case, YouTube really doesn't want you to upload a thumbnail file that's more than a couple megabytes. And my issue is that I'm working on this lovely thumbnail for Peak, just called Falling Down in Peak. And, well, when I close out of Photoshop and I look at the size of these bad boys, if I go to List View, or is it Details? Here we go. The original artwork for Peak is 15 megabytes, and the other version that I made is slightly smaller at just under 14 megabytes, but I need to get that size down. So there's a couple of options that I have. Photoshop's really nice in that you can save files as things like a JPEG, and when you save it as a JPEG, it gives you this JPEG options file, which allows you to adjust the quality of the image and compress it down so that it goes from uncompressed here at quality of 12, where it takes the PNG and converts it to a JPEG, and that automatically thumps it down to 8 megabytes. And then if I kind of dial it down even further to like a set of 8, that goes down to 1.3. 10 is a little bit too big at 3 megabytes, but I can even go all the way down to like 2, and that's only 338 kilobytes. So that's one option. I can save this at level like 9 and hit OK, and then that one would be ready to upload to YouTube. The other alternative you have, if you don't have a tool like Photoshop, because out of the box, not every video or image editor has a compression tool. I know GIMP doesn't, for example. In GIMP, you have to reduce the image quality in your image editing settings to do the same thing, and that's a little bit more technical. But what you can do is you can take this file, the Peak thumbnail, and you can go into a service like Optimizilla. And this is just, I just went in and I just Googled free image compressor on Google, and it gave me like a couple of results here and a couple more results here of free online image resizers. Really, the only thing you want to do is make sure you get one that doesn't put a giant watermark across your thumbnail, because that looks like crap and no one wants to see that on YouTube. Then you can just drag and drop this file, the thumbnail that I made, inside of this website. It'll upload that 14 megabytes, and then hopefully this will allow me to resize this so that it's a little bit more palatable for YouTube and also doesn't have a gigantic watermark across it. Alright, so now that it's uploaded, now it's going through the process of compressing this image to see how much it can make it smaller without completely destroying the quality. So it looks like it reduced it by 75%, which does make sense. I suspect that the original image probably could have just been saved as a compressed PNG and would have solved my problem as well. But when we download this, let's see how big this file is now. So now I've got a version that just says peak thumbnail-min, and it's just over 3 megabytes. So that's a little bit better. What if I run it back through here again? Will that do the thing? It might. It very well might. So it's 3.5 megabytes. Let's see what it does to it this time. I guess the other question is, does it upload it? Oh, it wasn't able to reduce it any further. Well, it's better than it was, but I can come down here and I can see the quality going on with this tool if I scroll down, and I can reduce the colors a little bit and see if that'll allow me to save some space. It doesn't have to be like super HD. It's still too big, even murdering the colors a bit. So that kind of worked. I mean, that definitely reduced it by 75%, so that's one big step there. And then obviously I can just reduce it in size with Photoshop. The other thing you can do is, if you want to, it's not the best, but you could totally open this up in like your favorite screenshot app. I use Gyazo, and we could just yoink a little screenshot of this. And then here, inside that same window as my image compressor, let's save this image. Gyazo peak thumbnail. Let's see how big this is. That's only 626 kilobytes. So that's one way to do it as well. I would definitely recommend actually getting an image editor that allows you to properly compress it. If you're using a program like GIMP, GIMP has plugins that allow you to compress images so that you can control how big they are file size wise as opposed to resolution. Another thing you can do in most image editors as well is you can go to image size, and this is currently probably in like 4K size if I go to pixels. Yeah, so this is consumer 4K. There's two kinds of 4K. This is the most common 4K. We can dumb that down to 1920 by 1080, and that'll make it like half its original size. And now if I saved this as a PNG, let's save this as a PNG. I'll bet you, and I'll even make it compressed as well. I'll bet you this is way smaller as well. So now compressed, that is just over 3 megabytes. So it's still a little bit big. You probably want to use JPEGs when you're doing this sort of a thing. That way they're as small as possible. But that, in a nutshell, is some different options you have in a pinch to make your images smaller so you can finally upload your episodes to YouTube that you've always been talking to your friends about starting a YouTube channel. So that's a quick look at different ways to compress your images inside of your computer for uploads to places like YouTube. Again, there's different requirements for different platforms, and you can often Google what the requirements are if they're not very clear about what they are up front. So that'll be it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. I've been your host, Larry. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time. Bye, everybody, and have a good one.